lot.
And you know what, let me give credit, I've only been here one semester, but I gotta be very candid with you. The Thai students that I've taught so far are very intelligent. You know how I know? They know all the answers in Thai, they just can't explain themselves in English. The problem is how we teach English. It's not that they are stupid. I'm sorry I'm being a little bit abrupt about it, but I'm telling you, this is the problem I find. It may not be the same thing that you know, but this is what I discovered. They're very intelligent. They can discuss among each other all the problems, okay? They know what they're talking about. They get very frustrated. And I look at them and they say, I know this. I said, yes, you do. So sometimes I tell them. Why? Because there comes a time when you just have to give them a little push. Because then they can go on to the main topic that I want to get to. But if I stop them at every place, and I guess this is where deductive and inductive is blending. But, you know, I'm very impressed with the students so far. And I think the fault lies with us and not with them. But I might be preaching to the choir. Anyway, you're making your point.
So, suggestions for the study phase: a shift from a deductive to an inductive approach students' proficiency advances. That's personally one of the main things I want to say today. An evolution, a shift. I'm not saying you just switch from one to the other, or you're always one or the other. I think you need both, but I think you need to shift towards a more inductive approach because it does make students think more and helps them to become more autonomous and use the language more creatively. As students advance, students increasingly deal, as I said just now, with recycled rather than new language. So if you're presenting the past tense, they may have had a presentation of the past tense 20 times in their short lives. Even new language input can be handled inductively. You can say to produce, as I said, show students some language and say a sample of the text and say, what do you notice? Beyond that, students need to develop their thinking skills and they feel motivated by activating their existing knowledge. I think by teaching more inductively as students advance, they're activating their existing knowledge, and I think a lot of students feel proud of what they know and they can show their knowledge and use it. And I think it's actually more motivating than the students telling all the time. Okay, let's move on. Application for the activate stage. Pedagogic tasks. Now this is a definition here of or classification of task types, particularly with reference to speaking. One kind is called pedagogic tasks. These are tasks that students don't need to do in the real world. So, for example, gap filling. It's useful for learning to a point, but it's not ever going to be used in the real world. Multiple choice, similar theme. And I would say being a waiter in a role play. Very few students are going to be waiters, right? Now, pedagogic tasks are divided into two different types. One is the very reproductive type, where students merely have to reproduce with little variation models provided by the teacher, the textbook, or some kind of audio material. Creative pedagogic tasks are where the students have to activate their prior linguistic knowledge, perhaps negotiating meaning. So those are pedagogic tasks, and then on the other side of this spectrum are real-world tasks. Students need to do these in the real world. In Thailand, that's maybe a difficult thing to say. What do they really need English for? Maybe they don't really need English except just to satisfy the university regulations. But let's say they may need to talk to foreigners at work, and if they go abroad, they may be a customer in a restaurant. The reason I put these two is to show that if you say do a role play, where one student is a waiter and the other student is a customer in the restaurant, the person playing the waiter is doing something a bit artificial because how many students are going to be waiters? But the person playing the customer is doing something that's much more likely to be real world. That's why with role plays, it's a very good idea to switch the roles, so students get a chance to do both roles. So what I'm saying is, in one activity, like a role play, you may get it may be partly pedagogic and partly real world. Which kinds of tasks have you used in your material so far? Pedagogic tasks or real world tasks? And if they're pedagogic, are they very reproductive? Or have they been creative? Be honest now. Who would like to say something? Somebody who has not said anything so far.
Some real, some pedagogic.
Good, good. Yes. You need both, you need both. I mean, if you just stick to real world tasks in Thailand, you're not going to have many tasks. Because most students don't need English in the real world out there. So you actually have to rely on